Hi, I'm Radical Coder. This is Umbreon. And real quick, before we dive in, if you want to make sure this little dude stays fed and warm, drop a like, hit subscribe, and let me know in the comments what I got right, what I got wrong, or what you want to argue about. Let's go.
It's something
Grid.
I was reading about earlier.
It's a terrible nightmare from hell.
Yeah,
I'm really
you don't
confused.
want to know.
I can't hear Brian.
I can't
sorry.
either.
I really want to know, like, when you say small government, what are you talking about?
What do you mean? Is it not
Like,
clear?
do you mean small as in like only a few people making choices, or do you mean small government as in not a lot of authority over people?
Well, I believe that the federal government especially, should only exist to protect the national boundaries and nothing else. Literally, they have no business collecting taxes. The IRS should be abolished. There should not be an FDA, an FAA, an FCC, or any of the other federal agencies that ruined my life. And so that's what I mean by smaller government.
Do you believe in the Constitution?
Yeah, absolutely.
So do
Tell me where the IRS is in the Constitution.
The reason I ask is because if you want to make those changes, like you can advocate, you can elect people who would make those institutional changes. But what I feel
God
like
willing, we have.
Yeah, sure. Well, this is what I want to ask you about. Like, do you support Donald Trump?
I do. Do you not?
Donald Trump is currently defying a Supreme Court order.
Is he actually defying it, or did he go along with it and just circle back and come at it from a different angle? Which one are you specifically talking about?
I thought we discussed.
I'm answering the question, Orthodox. Why don't you go afterwards? So he asked if Trump is reapproaching it
because you're wrong.
Comparing to guys, chill. What he's comparing that to is like Joe Biden, for example, when the Supreme Court ruled about the student loan stuff, he reapproached and tried a different pathway towards the student loan debt forgiveness, right? But what Donald Trump did instead is he had Stephen Miller and Pam Bondi lie openly in the open office to the American people directly, saying that the 9/0 Supreme Court order or ruling was in their favor, which it was not. It actually ruled that the deportation of Kilmar Abrigo Garcia was illegal, okay? And Donald Trump has continued to lie about this and say that he could bring him back, which the Supreme Court has ordered him to facilitate the return, and Trump has said, I could bring him back.
Sounds like a lot of stuff.
Hold on, real quick. Ryan, did Biden try to push a constitutional amendment during the last days of his presidency? And did he try to do that without a convention?
We can talk about that later. We can have that conversation. You're
going to Quoque me? You want to go to Quoque?
Yeah, this is entirely a two-quoque.
What about isn't later? Grid and I are talking about a specific thing right now.
We're silly, Corin.
Let me ask you a hypothetical.
Stop. Go ahead, Ryan.
So Grid, I want, like, if Trump were defying the Supreme Court, would you be concerned with that?
If he were, sure, I'd be concerned about it. But he is not. You haven't proven that he's not. Hey, stop. I let you motor mouth on for like 5-15 minutes.
You're right.
Down. So here's the thing. Let me ask you a question. Do you believe Doge has been effective?
Effective?
No. This is why I get mad at you guys, right? Because
I mean, they haven't.
You guys don't even know what you're talking about.
Has Doge been effective?
Effective at finding fraud and abuse? No, I don't think so.
You don't think so? Okay.
No, I mean, Elon came in and fired 7 general who were.
I'm just going to go
away from politics.
There's talking, guys.
Thank you. I'm watching some numbers on the monitor right now. I'm just going to go make another double check on something. Grid, you're in charge. You guys, you're fine. I'll be
really nice.
Yeah, bro, of course. We always got to
talking about women's.
All right. Well,
so
thank you kindly there, but hold on.
Guys.
If I may really quickly here, I want to push back on Ryan here because, okay, Ryan, you can have your 1v1. Go ahead, but I'm going to push back here. Afterwards,
well,
go ahead.
Both of you are wrong.
1v1.
One of the things that Grid
wanted to talk to me, but Joseph, I'm interested in hearing what you say too. It's an open panel.
I agree, and I want to hear what Joseph has to say. I just wanted to point out that you asked me to substantiate the things I was saying, and so I pasted in the private chat the Supreme Court ruling that I'm referring to, the 9/0 ruling with the writings where they explicitly say that the deportation of Kilmar was illegal, that the United States government acknowledges it was illegal, and also that the justification that the Trump administration used would allow them to deport any person for any reason, including American citizens. This is in the ruling. I just pasted right here. You can check it out yourself.
Which they can do to the Patriot Act.
Wait,
you understand that he can deport people that are a threat to the United States, even American citizens.
Without due process?
Well,
Garcia had due process. This is why I get mad and start screaming, because you guys just talk and talk and talk, but you're spouting nonsense from 5 weeks ago. From 5 weeks ago. Stop spouting talking points without knowing the up-to-date information. Now, give me a couple seconds here. First off, Doge got saved $150 billion. All they did was kick those departments out and give the money directly to the Department of Defense. That's all they did. It was a scam. And then to Ryan's point, Garcia was already over international waters, and the pilot said, I'm not turning around. I got my orders. So they did what they needed to do. And he has the Patriot Act. Automatically, like I told you last time, I haven't seen you crying about the people who are in black sites for 25 years. All I hear is Trump bad. That's all I hear.
Can I?
Hold on, Ryan, Joseph, please. I'd like to hear what you have to say.
Yeah. So what I would say to you, Ryan, is like if you're trying to say that this is some really terrible schema and cabal, which is basically a continuation, what is your recommendation?
My recommendation is that Donald Trump should facilitate the return of Kilmar Abrego Garcia so that he can have due process. And if he is determined to be a criminal, as Trump has asserted over and over and over, that
That's what I'm asking. That's meaningless. That's one man.
No, it's not. It's okay. So what we were talking about is whether or not Trump was defying the Supreme Court order. Is that right? We were having that conversation. Yes? No?
No. Well, what I initially brought up is.
So what's your question again?
What I brought up, but then I let go of, is that Joe Biden was trying to do some type of de facto amendment to the Constitution after the fact. Do you remember that?
What
you
amendment?
don't know the context of what the amendment being passed was.
Yeah,
So, Joseph, first of all, I'm just going to give the context. We actually know the amendment he's talking about. The issue is the ratification of the amendment passed. They didn't have the ratification of the amendment date time within the amendment, which is what they've been basing on limitations on dates for. Something extra. So I'm finishing what I was saying, Joseph, because you don't know what you're talking when it comes to the amendment here.
No. That's what I'm asking.
I'm finishing what I'm saying here because you don't know what you're talking about.
I want you to put
it on it. Joseph, let him talk.
Okay, so this was in the supporting secondary courts thing, which was not what was voted on. The argument that's been put forward by the ABA, which is the American Bar Association supporting the passing of this amendment, is that without that being in there, that was not what was ratified by the states. There's nothing in the ratification process that shows that supplementary case would be applicable to this. All the cases where we had time limits being referenced for this had the time limits in the statements of the amendment itself.
Yeah, I'm just asking for what he tried to do.
Okay, I have a question for Corinth. Because again, he's my favorite.
Rid, I just real quick, Rid, I don't want you to blow past this because Biden tried to do this. Corinth is trying to kind of whitewash it, but
no, I'm explaining to you the process behind it and why the American Bar Association has put out things supporting this understanding of passing the amendment.
Well, I pointed this out.
I don't know what you, Joseph. You know more than the American Bar Association.
It was the Equal Rights Amendment. Corinth, do you want to talk about it?
That I just explained it to you, Joseph. What part of it did you not understand?
Okay, so you want to take it through the legal process that the Biden administration went through? Go ahead.
The Biden administration didn't pass the amendment. This was gone through in the 1970s, and the final state that needed to happen to ratify it happened under the Biden administration.
Did the Biden administration try to speak authoritatively on it?
No.
Yes, he did.
They didn't speak authoritatively on it. They made external statements supporting this. What?
Oh, there's not video. Okay, so what are you saying?
Biden and Kamala Harris made statements. Yes, this should happen. This should be the case. But that's not an authoritative statement. They made the
Corinth. So you're sitting here up against a buttress. Here, let me ask you this,
Joseph. First of all,
during the forgiveness. Hold on.
Important question here. Wait, the very important question here, Joseph.
Forgiveness of the student loan.
Ladies, you're both pretty. Calm down.
Joseph, what's the relevancy of this?
The relevancy is creating a juxtaposition on the Trump administration on trying to figure out the boundary of power versus what the Biden administration did. And what I'm arguing, hold on.
Way less interested.
10 more seconds.
I'm showing you this break.
10 more seconds.
I'm showing you why this break.
What I'm trying to argue is that
what you're trying to argue is that you're a stupid person who doesn't understand what they're saying, and I'm trying to explain to you that.
This message is sponsored in part by.
Okay, I actually have a question.
It works too well, Tomato.
Go ahead,
I have a question for Corinth. Corinth, because I know you're training to be a lawyer, and I understand all of the stuff that you do, or not all of the stuff you do, but a lot of it. In your estimation, did Trump? Is he currently, or has he recently defied a Supreme Court order?
As far as I haven't seen enough of this. From what I have seen is definitely not enough to make a strong claim here. I would lean in favor from what I've seen that it would be a yes, but I just want to clarify this is something that's very loosely based. I haven't looked into it enough.
Well, there's some nuance there. I'm not holding your feet to the fire. I understand that there's some nuance there.
Well, it's not something so easily poised as an argument when you have skin in the game. So I would say to you, I tip my hat on that at least.
And
so in regards to that question,
hats, I tip my hat to Sarcastic Saint with a big 5. Says, Ryan, the reason your tooth is rotting is because there's so much BS coming out of your mouth. So no amount of money will save it. Furby, 5 more. And I did add 5 more minutes to your timer, Furby, but that is now cutting down. You got about 2 more minutes left. Ryan, go ahead with this Supreme Court.
Before we let Ryan go, I got to go to bed. Can I shill my game show on?
Yeah, of course.
Can I do that? Okay. So guys, I'm doing a single round elimination, round robin debate. I guess competition, whatever. Game show. I've been doing it on Saturday nights. At some point, we're going to end up having to move it to Friday night, just because I shoot on Sundays and I can't be up till 2:00 in the morning and then go shoot on Sunday. So that's terrible for me. But it's been a lot of fun so far. It's really cool, and you shall come check it out. And that's it. It's really pretty awesome.
That's your Friday night show.
My Friday night show is usually like a chill show, or I do an interview or something like that. But we're gonna have to move the game show to Friday night, because I can't get up in the morning, and I don't like missing matches. I like to go shoot stuff. So
I don't blame you there. Doing the late nights they're rough. You lose almost half your day the next day if you want to sleep in.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I
appreciate you having me up again, and I really appreciate the modern day debate thing. You guys have a good rest.
You're welcome.
Good to see you again, man.
Talk again, Brad.
I haven't been able to.
Talk again.
Haven't been able to hang out with you, so good to see you.
And tell them all to stay off your lawn, Grid.
That's right. As my normal exit is. Be cool, wear glasses if you need them, and get off my lawn.
Bye, Grid. We love you.
So I'll be quick, and then I'll let.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll let someone else take it. So, actually, Stephen Aker pointed out in the chat that what I have up here is actually the opinion of Sotomayor with Kagan, but it's not actually. This document is not the official decision, but the decision was a 9-0 unanimous decision, and this is a summary judgment of that judgment. So, right here, we're talking about. Or this direct quote says, the rest of the district court's order remains in effect, but requires clarification on remand. The order properly requires the government to facilitate Abrigo Garcia's release from custody in El Salvador, and to ensure that his case is handled as it would have been if he had not been improperly sent to El Salvador. That's the main thing I wanted to read. Okay. And then if you go watch Trump's recent interviews, he has said explicitly that he could bring back Kilmar, but he won't. Number one, He's also repeatedly accused him of being an MS-13 gang member, which has not been proven in the court. And this hearing no hearing has demonstrated this at all. He was living here legally before he was illegally deported, which in the earlier part I had highlighted explicitly outlines that the United States acknowledges that he was subject to a withholding order forbidding his removal to El Salvador, and therefore the removal to El Salvador was illegal. Okay, that's my piece.
Before you sign off, Radical Coder, can you say this for me? Extrajudicial consequence is something we should not allow in America. Say that for me.
Extrajudicial consequence is something that we should be concerned about and probably not have in America. And there might be some
but
I'm okay with it.
We should allow.
In rare cases, like there's going to be stuff that does
only if it's Trump.
Well, then it's like, come on, dude. What do you argue?
It would be something. Hang on, I'm explaining.
What do you argue?
I'm explaining. So I'm explaining my caution around this. So if the Supreme Court ruled that like something extrajudicial was legal, right? Eventually, like it turned out to be legally done extrajudicially, which sounds kind of weird, but you know what I'm saying. I think then that like I might be okay with it. I might want the law to change, but I still might be like there are cases where
hold on, Ryan. The point is that if you do create this type of scenario where that is allowed, it's allowed for a certain reason, and it seems to me that you buy into that reason. So if we do allow extrajudicial killings, which means they're outside of due process rights, then
can I get in here?
What are you even talking about, bro? This is I'm not trying to kill the conversation, but it essentially is.
I want to say one thing. What I am talking about, you asked, what am I talking about? What I'm talking about is Trump explicitly defying a Supreme Court order to facilitate the return of Kilmar Abrego Garcia from El Salvador. Okay, go ahead, Mel.
You're being wordy.
No. I'm next. I've been waiting. Me and you have gone over this.
No, you weren't back.
Me and you have gone over this.
So I want to point out something. Trump's like a protectionist and a nationalist.
Hold on, let Orthodox guy go because he was going first, Mel.
I have pointed out to you yesterday on your show, Ryan, that multiple presidents, both right wing and left wing, have gone against the Supreme Court, dating back all the way to 1832 and then 1957. So and you only have smoke for Trump.
So yeah, the TDS. I really want to let Mel go. But so the most recent one that you brought up was, I believe, from the 50s, and we agreed that eventually he did follow the Supreme Court ruling.
Okay, your whole beef is that presidents aren't supposed to go against the Supreme Court.
If Trump follows the ruling, I will no longer talk about it.
I made the argument that
I will no longer talk about this. I will say thank you, Trump. Thank you for bringing him back.
Ryan, can I ask you one thing before you leave, please?
Don't want Mel to go.
My turn now.
Yeah, it is Mel's turn.
It's super quick.
Mel, and then 10th man.
All right.
Ryan, you got to get in touch with me because I don't know how to get in touch with you. But other than that, like I thought Trump was a protectionist, a nationalist, an isolationist. Why is he sending people to another country? Shouldn't there be like no extrajudicial anything when you're an isolationist?
I'll agree with you on that, Mel. I'll say that I think Carolyn Leavitt actually said from the podium of the Secretary of State that the Trump administration was exploring options to send the most heinous American citizens to foreign jails and shit like this. That's something that I'll never get on board with. And, so he's not a perfect president, just like all of the rest. The thing is that you're a rabid dog who hates anything he does.
No, it's not like that. It's actually
like, it is like that.
Connor, right? Like democracy is essentially like
Connor's a rabid fucking Trump hater too. I don't know what you're saying.
Democracy comes from respecting the law, and when presidents do not respect the law, that becomes an anti-democratic situation increasingly. And so when we point to say like, hey, if this keeps getting worse, that's a huge deal. It really would be.
I could say a desecration of the law would be a Title IX violation for people who ascribe to certain things like close to your ideology, right? So any type of desecration of the law is always open to debate. Like, how are we doing this? It's always traditional. We got tradition, And then once again, it's always the same thing. So it's state-based, goes up to federal, and then like what?
Do you agree though that we need to uphold democracy to preserve our freedoms?
I think democracy is something that is voted on, right?
No,
actually,
that's not what I asked.
This is a great segue. We'll make this the final topic of the evening. Should lobbying be in politics?
I didn't get my chance. Okay.
Go ahead, Tiff.
Real quick, Ryan. So,
yeah,
I was against abortion, but then I changed my mind when I watched dudes crying outside of clinics, "Please don't kill my baby." So then the law changed with that, but I've heard you say that that was a bad thing. How come only the decisions that you like are good?
So I'm not saying that it was an illegal decision, right? I might not agree with the decision, but that doesn't make it an illegal decision, first of all. Second of all, I think that...
but you would advocate for people to defy it, right? Because you think it's their right to do so?
I want them to challenge it. Yes.
No, I'm saying if a person needs an abortion,
defy it.
They can defy it, right?
No, that would be
not
the
necessarily.
doctor.
No, not. I mean, if they're gonna, I wouldn't. I'm not gonna advocate that they don't face the legal consequences in the state. Like if there are, but
like Mel could take my baby across state lines and kill it. That'd be okay, right?
Kill it.
If yeah, I would say so. Yes, I am okay with that. Yeah.
Hey,
because you're a monster.
First of all, killing happens all the time in nature, so that doesn't necessarily make someone a monster.
Tomato,
I think you're a monster. Hang on.
Can
you call me a monster. I want to respond real quick to that. I think you're a monster if you want to force women to give birth.
All right.
Sure, bro. Sure.
I think we should force women in some cases, just like we should have forced 10th man's mom to get an abortion.
All right.
So we got a little bit apart.
Last topic of the evening, and then I'm going to bed because the tomato is getting very, very sleepy. Should lobbying be in politics? Is it morally corrupt? Is it legal bribery?
I would, if I'll jet us off on this, I'll just put my point out there. I think that lobbying should be okay in government, but within a certain schema which people agree to, and I think we're a little off that now. But anyways, yes, as a whole, we should have it.
Look,
hey, I actually wanted to ask Mel something just briefly. Mel, if I stop at a traffic light, am I engaging in democracy?
No.
If I stop at a stop sign, am I engaging in democracy?
No.
Well, what are you talking about? I thought democracy had to do with following the law, and I'm saying it's not that. Well, wow.
So if you actually look up,
don't be a fucking little shit, Adam. Come on now.
If you look at the history of democracy, you can see that the Greeks even talked about how you have to respect the law in order to have a functioning democracy.
Funny you mentioned that. They also say a lot.
So if I do not stop at a stoplight, I'm acting in an anti-democratic way, is what you're saying.
No, I'd say that's more anarchistic because it's not necessarily like an affront. It's not protesting democracy itself and saying we should get rid of democracy.
Well, also, when you choose not to stop at a four-way stop at the...
Right, I could have said that better.
You just cited the ancient Greeks, and you said, well, the ancient Greeks thought that you had to have a consistent rule of law and follow the rule of law in order to have a democracy. So I'm saying, okay, let's say you're not doing that. Is that anti-democratic? If I'm speeding, if I'm going 1 mile over the posted speed limit, am I engaging in an anti-democratic behavior?
If you're a politician, yes.
Oh, okay. So politicians can't speed, but if anybody else speeds, it's fine. This is an explicit rejection of popular sovereignty, Mel. I hope you realize that you're doing that.
Popular sovereignty. I don't care much about that necessarily. What I care about is democracy again, because like I said, that's fundamental to upholding our freedoms.
So what do you think popular sovereignty is?
I don't know. You'll have to tell me. That's why I said I don't care about it much.
Popular sovereignty is the idea that the people of a country have sovereignty over their government, or sovereignty over the country. So that's like a necessary component of democracy.
No, I don't think sovereign citizens exist. I don't actually think that's true.
Okay, well then you're rejecting democracy on its face. You're rejecting a core principle of democracy.
So what? Because the government tells you that you have to follow laws, that gets rid of sovereignty? How does that work?
So popular sovereignty is an idea in political theory. I understand that that's not your strong suit, despite the fact that you want to bloviate about knowing about all the shit about politics. So popular sovereignty is the idea that the people of a nation, those people have sovereignty over the nation itself. This can be exercised in various ways, like voting, for instance. But if they have sovereignty over the nation, that has implications, like an individual person would have like a responsibility for the actions that their government takes.
So when you take an oath of office, do you give up your popular sovereignty?
No.
Yes, you do. Thanks for playing.
No, you don't. Popular sovereignty is referring to the group
freedoms. Of you limit your freedoms by taking an oath.
Yes, that's true.
Anyway, I'm about to bounce. Can I speak on this topic?
Yeah, sure.
So anyways, I want
corruption is based. All right, the only people that complain about corruption are those too broke to go into it. And if you are too broke, you have the Second Amendment to defend against the most corrupt things. Thank you for playing. Good night, everyone.
Thanks.
So I want everybody to a little bit of backbone on what he said.
I want everybody to know that Mel does not believe that the population of a country
Go ahead,
is
Joseph.
sovereign
Go
over
ahead,
the government.
Joseph. You were interrupted. Go ahead, Joseph.
Adam, just give me a second. You are built on a system of a lot of people who are too dumb to actually keep it together. So, when you see people walking around and keeping their lives together, it's usually built upon a lot of people who are smarter than them. And that's just the way it goes. So,
yeah, generally
lots of people, lots of specialization. So if you want to just sit there and point the finger and say, "Oh, these stupid fucks," I mean, you're kind of being, I would say, inhumane.
Well, Trump just doesn't know how tariffs work. So just because there's a bunch of people,
I'm not talking about Trump.
Competent. Okay, sorry, I wasn't sure who that was directed at.
Melanie,
anyways,
you have your fucking blinders on every time you think.
To answer the question, that's the topic. I think lobbying, it could have its place for like actual like activism cause and stuff like that. But since it's also open to corporation stuff like that, it really just eliminates the separation between corporation and state. And that does create huge issues with the ability for the state to regulate the
lobbying. Hold on, Furby, because you're being stupid. Let me correct you. Lobbying is necessary, and it serves a good purpose. And there's no getting rid of it. This is the idea that you can break.
There's no getting rid of it.
You can create some type of utopia, right? There's no getting rid of it. So yes, lobbying is fine, but it needs to be done.
Sorry. Yeah, finish.
Go ahead, Ryan.
I was going to say lobbying is a really broad term because like things that would be considered, like if you sign a petition or go to a protest or email a representative, those are technically types of lobbying. But if we're talking about like big money in government, then like we need to isolate kind of more like what specific kinds of lobbying we're referring to. I think is maybe the
that's exactly what I was referring to. And
fair enough. My bad.
Oh, it doesn't matter then, Furby. You're on board with the lobbying.
No, because I think lobbying. I think using lobbying to describe all those things is more of like an old school way of using it, and the new school term is a lot more referring to having money in politics.
Furby, how much do you think your vote matters?
Pardon?
If you would put your vote on a percentage scale and you think 100% your vote 100% matters versus 0, how much do you think it matters?
Okay, that's a complicated question. I would say very little, but I'd actually say it matters more if I don't vote.
All right, well, there you go.
Yeah. So like the party that I registered for in the previous election and voted for, if I don't vote in the next one, they're going to be like, why the fuck did that person not vote for us?
Yeah, so pro-democracy, and you understand it means nothing, so.
What? Okay, you're going to have to formulate that a bit better, buddy. So anyways, does anyone here want to argue for having like money in politics specifically? Because I think when most people ask a lobbying question, that's really what they mean.
For sure. So I want to ask a specific example of that. So like big pharma lobbying its Medicare drug price negotiation. Even though like 80% of the public does support that, obviously big pharma was spending a lot of money to try to prevent that. So what do we do?
You by Pfizer.
Yeah, so the alternative has always been that we should create some type of fund that would fund any type of campaign. But then there's thresholds that are involved, like who's allowed to get these monies to do a campaign and shit like that. But it's always been nonsensical because the monies will find their way into the campaign.
I just gotta give a shit for this one. Does anyone want to argue against oxygen? Mel.
Yeah, it was the one who was trying to make this a little bit more meaningful of a discussion by not just talking about all lobbying.
Neve, come up here. You are my most voted funniest person here.
So,
anyways, it's like that's the argument.
Yeah, we get it. So with the whole thing being, to answer Ryan's question, like if there still are good cases of money in politics, then it doesn't seem like that we can maximize that, though, right? Like we're going to need like heavy regulations on this. What isn't acceptable.
Regulation. What?
I don't think
like
Enron
United.
I don't think Enron should have been able to lobby the government when it was doing its scandal.
Do you even understand?
Holy fuck, Joseph! I'm trying to respond to Ryan for one thing because he asked me a question.
Go ahead. I'll be quiet. Go ahead.
But like, I'm just saying, like, we can't take this to extremes. It's not an absolute thing. Clearly, with Enron, if they had unlimited lobbying power, which I'm pretty sure they did because they had certain people installed in power, that ended up being a huge. That ended up being a really bad thing. So we need to regulate this.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so when you say regulate, what you're actually saying is create some type of receipt system where we actually know who's paying what, and then the money goes, and there's no regulation.
It also means laws that say what you
Okay, so are we capping? Are we capping the amount of?
Don't we already do that?
Somebody's getting capped.
Don't we already do that? Don't you need like a super PAC to get around that in the first place?
Oh yeah, and that's what they do. So what's the issue?
Well, no, that's not what Bernie Sanders did, right? He took only small donations.
Well,
so
if you want to say we can just create a super PAC and then funnel donations in.
Yeah, all small donations, 80% of them from the same place.
So what Tomatoes was asking us is that ought we have this type of system where we have a lot of money and donations in politics? What I'm trying to argue is that we ought have it because it tracks with pragmatism. You guys are trying to say, well, like, no, it can create these nefarious situations where money is actually buying what people live their, like, the laws people live their lives by, because money puts them in office. And then
okay, so Sarcastic Saint just suggested a topic. It's not the topic we want, but the topic we need. Okay, it's should men stand up or sit down to pee? And I have an answer because I am trans and I have
forget
experience.
about it. Yeah, I didn't get a chance to react to the.
You stand up for the urinal, but my God, when you go to a toilet, you sit. Okay, nobody wants to hear your tinkle noises.
Nah, sorry.
That depends on what you're wearing. I'm not taking down my suspenders, so. Ryan, you talk so much.
I'll just say quickly that was a loss on Radical and Mel's side. They ran away from it. I'll take that. But yes,
it's a lot of words.
Good man, sit down. Of course not.
That was
anybody
a W.
who does CPS.
That was a W for chat. Okay, and when chat wins, we all win.
Speaking
of
the chat, the chat has spoken. Sarah wants to go to bed.
All right.
I do.
So, go to sleep.
Yeah, I do have to work in a few hours.
No.
So
your sleep is more important than my speech. Go ahead. I'm not being facetious at all. Go sleep.
I know you're not. Corinth, why don't you kick us off with your final thoughts to the evening? And I will say you guys can speak to any of the topics we've gone through tonight. You don't have to just stick on the last one or whatever, but whichever one spoke out to you the most or whatever, give your final thoughts or just tell everybody to fuck off. Corinth, to you.
Let us know where us vagrants can go after the fact. fast.
Yeah, I'll start looking for a raid. But yeah, go ahead, Corinth.
Not flow
I
state,
don't want to
definitely
tell
not flow
everyone
state.
to fuck off.
Okay.
I just want to tell the people
go ahead.
interrupting me to fuck off right now. I was only going to target 10th man with that, but now I have to throw in Mel and I have to throw in Joseph and fuck all of you at this point.
You have to throw in me
Last
too.
one of you. Yeah, you too, Adam, especially you.
Fuck you.
Check my YouTube channel, Corinthia on YouTube. I just did a 3-hour debate review with Adam Dole. I'm going to start uploading like philosophy content in the near future. All you suck. Bye.
Bye, Corinth.
By the way, I won't stand for bullying Corinth, Adam. That is unacceptable.
Yeah, he deserves it. He knows what he did.
What an absolute sweetheart, I must say. You know.
Absolutely wonderful. All right. 10th man, why don't you kick us off?
Grid's right. Limited government's the only way. Only guillotines will fix this. And thank you for electing me as mayor of Cloudtown. I love you all.
Mayor of Cloudtown. Is somebody snoring?
No, that was me snickering.
Oh,
That's
okay.
That's ironic because I didn't know you could have negative clout, but then I meant 10th man.
Negative clout. That's funny. All right. Joseph, to you.
I guess I'll say it's been a good time doing a little bit of smack talk on all you tonight. It's been a good back and forth, so thank you for that. And take care.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Dragon Rage to you.
I'm going to speak on the dogs versus the cats. Dogs are number one in the situation. And one of the biggest issues with dogs is the fact of the matter is most owners don't know what they're getting into when they try to get a dog. It's taken from somebody that deals with a 120-pound dog, livestock protection dog, who can literally kill me in one go. But he absolutely 100% trusts me, respects me, and follows my orders. But at the same point will defend me without a questionable thought of process. I live where there is random animals, wolves, and the such. And this dog is 100% not racist. Dogs cannot be racist, no matter what you want to say. They can have biases based upon their interactions, but in reality, they will overcome that if they are allowed to do that. It is.
But what if the dog says the N-word?
Well, if that happens, I will fall over and die because, yeah.
It'd be funny.
I mean, it could actually do a Nazi salute.
Oh my god.
Shout out to the chat. Somebody needs to teach their dog how to say the N-word.
Oh Lord. I'm gonna do it just to do it.
But
can you imagine someone walks in on you, you're sitting there screaming the N-word at your dog, trying to teach it.
And you wonder why your dog is racist.
But I will say cats do have a purpose in the situation. They keep varmints and such, and they are compassionate in situations. But I am a big dog person. I do not like little dogs. Anything that weighs less than about 60 to 80 pounds. No. Anything 100 plus
Even
pounds.
that dog? Even Umbreon?
It's a cute little dog, but in the situation, if you would see the dog that I live with, he is, everybody would give him a wide berth, but he is the most gentle thing.
Ryan froze. He's so shocked.
I'm going to tell you right now, during the apocalypse, every single one of you will eat your pets within 3 months. Guaranteed.
He will find food for me. That is more likely to happen.
Okay, so we're still waiting for the most important outro ever, which is mine. So please wrap it up.
Well, now I'm going to take even longer. No, I'm just kidding. But ultimately, in this situation, I appreciate it coming up here. And 10th man, now you've taken the most funniest part.
I know. If you catch if you catch me on the right day.
Adam, go ahead.
Speeding is anti-democracy. If you catch any politician speeding, they're acting in an anti-democratic way and should be barred from all future elections. This is what I've learned tonight. If Donald Trump, if he's ever gone over the 1 mile per hour over the posted speed limit, you should stop supporting him because that's anti-democratic. That's clearly anti-democratic behavior. This applies to all people. If you've ever sped in your life, you're now disqualified from being a politician. You were acting in an anti-democratic way, and by people voting for you, they would be endorsing anti-democracy, which is a performative contradiction.
What is a straw person argument?
You straight
I agree
up
with
said,
everything
you straight up said, Melanie, that if a politician breaks the law, they're acting anti-democratically. I gave you, and you specifically said that this would apply to speeding.
I was being ridiculous.
Oh well, maybe you should clarify that. Maybe you
so
should.
When the president breaks the law, when is it considered to be wrong for the president to do it? Even when the court says now, when is it right for the president to do it, and when is it wrong?
I don't know. It depends on the law. It depends on a bunch of context.
It's wrong to do it when they're doing it within the duties of their office.
Okay, so any other time it's okay?
Yeah, because it seems these things occur along the line of power, right?
Okay, so Melanie's saying it's only wrong when it's within their duties in their office. So if Bill Clinton, not in his duties when he was president, if he went and beat the shit out of Hillary Clinton because she prepared the noodles wrong, that's fine, according to what Melanie just said.
That's just a scandal because he's a public figure.
I'm all right with it because it's Hillary.
That's wrong along different lines.
Right. Come on, I'm fucking tired. Go ahead,
personally,
Mel. Final thoughts.
Personally, I think that's bad. Personally, I think it's bad to beat your wife, even if you are Bill Clinton.
Yeah, wrong
I guess
along
I
different
disagree with
lines.
Mel on this.
No, you don't. You're just straw personing.
Okay,
That's
Mel's
what you
final
said.
thoughts.
That's literally what you said.
Mel's final thoughts, please.
Oh my god, so much to talk about, but I still wanted to play Marry Fuck Kill. So Mary Jean Wilson. Okay, I'm gonna skip the F. Kill 10th Man. And fuck myself.
Thank you.
Why don't you want to kill me? What a gay.
Ryan, my darling, your final thoughts, please.
How you doing, Sarah?
You stuck it out the whole night. I'm impressed.
Yeah, I'm having fun. I've been streaming too. I'm probably gonna. I did like a quick anti-Trump stream before the panel, and then I hopped on here and streamed this whole thing. So yeah, I'm gonna start doing a lot more of this again. I got a lot of free time right now, and I need some money, so I'm gonna. It was really cool getting donations the other night. I'm gonna lead into this a lot. So obviously, dogs are better. I mean, just look at this guy. But I do have a closing statement prepared. So all of tonight's topics, from dating apps to fat camps to lobbying, Enron, education, revolve around how power is distributed, and who gets to shape the rules. Dating platforms commodify attention, often reinforcing inequality rather than connection. That's true. Fat camps sell shame instead of health, reflecting a culture that punishes bodies that don't conform. Calls to give states full control over education ignore the lessons of Brown versus Board of Education, where it took federal enforcement to integrate schools and protect civil rights against state resistance. Lobbying, like dating apps, isn't evil by nature, but when only the wealthiest voices are heard, democracy becomes a pay-to-play system. Enron showed us what happens when corporate fraud is wrapped in prestige and left unchecked. That's why we need strong, accountable federal oversight. Not just in classrooms or boardrooms, but anywhere power can hide from the public it's supposed to serve. If you care about unpacking systems like this, from the code behind the apps to the laws behind the headlines, that's exactly what I do on my channel. I'm a developer, educator, and political creator, breaking down how power works, how tech shapes us, and how we fight back with knowledge, tools, and truth. Learning is radical, and we build way better systems when we build them together. So come build with me.
Ooh, that sounds like a mission statement. I love it. Go again, baby, what's up? Nothing feels right, so let's mess up everything.